up to them, for most of them wore a nice pair of buckled shoes like mine, and say to them, "What are you wearing on your feet? I've never seen anything like that before." The problem was most of the Highlanders couldn't speak English, they could only speak Gaelic. So they look at the man and try to work out what the question was. "What are you wearing on your feet?" So the Highlanders simply answered in Gaelic because they were simple people. They would say, "Moccasin," which is Gaelic for my foot. And that's where the Americans got a word called moccasin. Now, it's not actually a Native American Indian word at all. It's a Gaelic word the Scots took to America in the 17th and 18th century, and that's where it came from. But the one thing that made the Highlanders so different was the way in which they dressed. This is where I one of my volunteers. Right, up you come then. What's your name?
Elise.
Right, stand over here. We are going to dress you to look like a Highlander. Have you ever seen a picture of Mel Gibson in Braveheart? I'm going to make you look like Mel Gibson in Braveheart, and I've chose you because you're the same height as Mel Gibson. Now, that will be just for a moment. Now, first of all, you may well have seen a kilt worn in Scotland, but a kilt in Gaelic is called a filly beg. If you try to remember, beg means little, more means big. And the kilt was invented in 1740. That's the earliest record of a kilt ever existing. So very few people ever wore a kilt, because remember, tartan was banned in 1746. So this is the thing that everyone wore prior to the invention of the modern kilt. And it's called in Gaelic a filly moor, the big blanket. To put it on, you'd put a piece of tartan cloth down upon the floor and pleat it up. This takes a little bit of time to do. The clever thing about this was it didn't matter if you were small, medium or large, one size would fit everybody. Would that fit me? Would it fit you? No. Now, once you'd actually drawn it into pleats, you have a belt. It could be a cloth belt or a leather belt. That would go underneath the pleats, roughly about where the waist of the person who's going to wear it would be. And that's you. Now, this is your big starring row. What we need to do here is actually just sit down on top of those pleats. So it's bottom here, your legs pointing up. Excellent. Now lie back, man's at beach, hands behind your head, but don't go to sleep. Look at the lovely roof. Nice roof.
You can see that I have an influence in that, or almost
the roofs. Anyway, right now the Highlander wraps the material around his body, then ties the belt to the waist. Now bear in mind, the Highlander wouldn't have somebody to do it, this unless he hasn't put one of these on before. And once the belt is tied, I'm going to stand up so we can see it. Come, straight up. Okay, the first thing to note is a long piece of cloth hangs down the back. That was the most important part. This is probably the most resilient thing about the Highland lads. They could march for miles and miles, stop and simply lie down and sleep where they went. But they carried their own sleeping bag with them wherever they were. Always sleep. Now, during the day, of course, by the way, let's see the pleats. Turn around so you can see the pleats. You've got the idea from the kilt. That's where it all started from. See, it's the little pleats at the back. Because if you ever see a modern kilt, look at the back, the pleats have been stitched in, but it's just the top half cut off and stitched on. Now, you can't have that during the day. So the most popular thing was to gather it up. You could just hold that for me. By catching both ends of the cloth, you can now tie or pin those two ends together. Well, and that would leave your arms free for fighting. But also, we've got it right, yeah, a little pocket here, turn around. That's where the bowl and the cup would be kept. That's much more fierce. Yeah. Now let's get some weapons. Some weapons. Slip your hand in there. Isn't that really that? You grab hold the strap. Sword. Right, sword there. Looking good. Yeah. Pistol. Right, you hold that your teeth. That's okay. Give us a round of applause. But of course, a fearsome Highland lady like this would probably not have a weapon like this. Now, let me show you the kind of weapon that you most likely would have had at the battlefield. Take one of these things. Now, this is called the Loch Harbour axe. Hold that and look fierce. Now, the Loch Harbour axe was very much a foot soldier's weapon, an ordinary poor peasant soldier. The axe, of course, would be much longer than this, but the hook was rather important. The hook was used for pulling people off horses, and the axe was used for chopping them up. Now, long after the Highland clans had gone, the Edinburgh Old Town Guard, the police force of Edinburgh, adapted this as their standard weapon. It was called a crowd control tool. If you had a riotous crowd in the high street of Edinburgh, a couple of guardsmen around in the street waving these, the crowd would quickly disperse. But if you're planning to visit Edinburgh, don't worry, the police don't use them anymore. Right? But the Highlanders, of course, did have a very famous trick. Right? We're going to do a bit of acting here. You're going to be Angus, and I'm going to be Dougal. The redcoats have come to arrest us. You don't know what to say, so I'm going to do the voices for you, but you're doing the actions. Right. Angus, the redcoats have come to arrest us. You go, aye, I see them. There's quite a lot of them. Aye, again. How can we possibly defeat so many redcoats? We'll have to use the secret weapon. I knew. Right. This is what the secret weapon was. They had a psychological weapon to throw their enemy off balance. Just before they go into combat, they take the tops of their blades off and let them hang down. When the battle order was given to attack, they undo their belts, throw their blades to one side, and rush into battle on their shut tails with nothing else on. I don't know about you folks, but that would terrify me. Ask any man running to me in his shirt tail, I would be off. You give this young lady a round of applause if you'd have really